Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. I'm Elisabetta, your watercolor friend with a passion for art supplies. And today I'm swatching with you my new portrait palette. I'm painting a lot of portraits recently and later I will show them to you and I will explain you why I'm painting so many portraits. And I thought that maybe I want a dedicated palette just for portraits. So 2 or 3 days ago, I just filled this 18 wells palette with the colors that I thought I like for a portrait. It was a very difficult choices. They are of different brands and today we are swatching them together. It was really difficult and I think that every few months I might revise it, but let's swatch them together. As usual, when I prepare a palette, I squeeze them in wells like this. Except for my travel palette, I prefer for studio these palettes that have larger wells, not just half pans, because it's easier if you use larger brushes that I use for washes on portraits. So I really love larger wells like this. And then once they are dry, semi-dry, semi-moist after a couple of days, I just press my thumb like this so that I made a small indentation for water, and I really like this. I read it somewhere and I really like this method to prepare a palette. As a brush, I will use my usual brush that I use for portraits. I use this large brush with a nice tip, fine point, and it's by Borciani Bonazzi. It's synthetic and this is number 18. Okay, let's start with yellows. I only have 2 yellows plus I have yellow ochre here. Yes, you could get away with a limited palette, but I like to change and explore and try different skin tones. And this is the beautiful Naples Yellow by My Mary, PBR 24. Beautiful color. It's an earthy, warm, sunny yellow. I don't have any cool yellow here. Maybe in future I might introduce some cooler yellow like lemon yellow or orolin. And this was Giallo di Napoli Medio, Naples Yellow Medium by My Mary, PBR 24. Then I have one more warm yellow and it is Indian Yellow, and it is PY110 and PY120, PY154. It's a very traditional formula for Indian yellow. I have a New Gamboge by My Mary that is really almost identical, but I love warm yellows, so I thought that I wanted a more transparent warm yellow, less dull than this. But Naples Yellow is nice, for instance, for quick sketches. If you just add a touch of red, it becomes a very lovely skin color for nudes. And this is my warm yellow, Indian yellow. Very beautiful, schminke, never disappointing. I basically have only very common brands, so it's easy to replace them. And that's how I make my multi-brand palettes. Otherwise, for niche brands like Walla Simir, Della Magna or Gallo, I make mono brand, one brand palette, dedicated palette. First red is Quinacridone Coral by Daniel Smith. I have way too many reds, but once again, I like to explore and try different skin tones. And red is a very important color for portraits, of course, because you have you use it for mixing your skin tone, but also you use it for red highlights and cheeks and nose, around the nose, lips. And Queen Coral is a warm pink. It's a very beautiful color. It's, I really wanted it in my portrait palette. Then I have Pyrrole Scarlet, a warm red. I could have put Cadmium Red Light, which is also beautiful, beautiful color, a staple in a palette, but it's a color that I know very, very well, and Pyrrole Scarlet is a color that is newer to me, so I was more keen to use this more transparent and non-cadmium color, although I really like cadmium colors, but for a change, a beautiful scarlet, warm, warm red. And it is PR 255. And Quinacridone Coral is PR 209, which is Quinacridone Red. But this Daniel Smith version, Quinacridone Coral, is absolutely beautiful. This is Permanent Red Deep by Rembrandt. It's a darker, cooler Pyrrole Red compared to Pyrrole Scarlet. Pyrrole colors are one of those less traditional colors that are very performing in light fastness and vibrancy. Look at this, it's really beautiful. So I know that I have many reds, I'm aware, maybe too many, but it's really nice to change and alternate them so that you get different skin tones. And my last red is a classic, the iconic Permanent Alizarin Crimson by Winsor & Newton. Now I think that it's easier to find it with PR 179, but it is almost identical, I can tell you. This is with Quinacridone Maroon, PR 206, that is gradually out of production, going out of production. That's why they replaced it with the PR 179, Perliane Maroon, but it's really, really similar. Look at that, a cooler red, adorable. I think that as a replacement for Alizarin Crimson, that you know is not very light fast, PR 83, this version is wonderful. This is Pyrrole Scarlet by Daniel Smith. Only found this small tube, too bad. This is my huge tube of Permanent Red Deep by Rembrandt. I know that Rembrandt for me is one of my favorite brands because it has very, very good value for money ratio. And my beautiful Permanent Alizarin Crimson by Winsor & Newton. This one, my reds. So now Ultramarine Violet by Rembrandt, small tube, but when I finish it, I might buy the big tube because it's a beautiful color. Here it is, and it is PV 15. It's a more delicate purple compared to Dioxazine Violet with a pinkish undertone. It's really beautiful. I love it. And for subtle shadows on portraits, it's really beautiful. It's very transparent. It's beautiful for shadows in skin tones. And then I have a more classical Dioxazine Violet. and I have this version by Schminke PV23. I like very much to use dioxazine violet for shadows, for darkening colors, for muting down yellow ochre when I paint blonde hair. So it's very useful. It has a very huge, large dry shift. So when you apply it, it seems always very dark, but when it's dry, it's always much lighter. Very large dry shift. You will see that the difference between these two will not be that big once they're dry. Ultramarine Deep by My Mary. This one, Blu Oltremare Scuro, PB29. And this is a color that you can't live without, of course, because you use it for mixing darker skin tones with red and yellow. You use it for shadows, and also I use it a lot for darks mixed with burnt sienna or burnt umber. For black hair, for instance, I use it for giving blue highlights. It's beautiful blue. I think the blues by My Mary are really beautiful. Okay. Now I have one more blue, and it is Cerulean Sky Blue, Celeste Ceruleo by My Mary, and it is PB35, which is my favorite cerulean, and this is important to have for blue eyes and also for shadows, more subtle shadows. They're very nice with cerulean. I like it. There are many pre-made portrait palettes by Rembrandt or by Cotman. Cotman makes a pre-made palette, so if you're a beginner, why not? But I thought I had enough experience to set up my own. Beautiful granulating blue, My Mary. And then I have Viridian by Rembrandt. Here it is. Now, I use Viridian because I have such a large tube, but Viridian, to be honest, has a limit. It hardens very badly in pans like this or wells. It becomes really as hard as a rock. So it's difficult to re-wet, and it's not very vibrant, it's not very intense, it's kind of weak, but it is a beautiful granulating color. I use it a lot for mixing with alizarin crimson for darks, for shadow. It's very nice. But if you don't have Viridian, I decided to use Viridian because I have this large tube and I wanted to give it a go because it's such a beautiful color with a subtle granulation. But honestly, maybe you could replace it with PG7 Phthalo Green. It's easier, it's an easier color. It's kind of difficult, true, genuine Viridian. And then a must-have, Sap Green. Sap Green by Winsor & Newton, the most classical. Of course, Viridian was PG18, and this is a multi-pigment, PG36 and PY 110. So basically you have Indian yellow, same pigment used here, and phthalo green yellow shade, because PG7 is phthalo green blue shade and this is the yellow shade. And I think this is a lovely sap green because it's not too artificial. Some sap greens are really artificial. This is not. This is, you can use it straight from the tube, and I use it for eyes, clothes, and very much for backgrounds. Let's move to Green Earth by Rembrandt. Now, why do you think I'm using this such a weak color in portraits? Because it corrects my reds, and if I get a skin tone that it is too red, I just glaze some green earth on it, and it immediately desaturates it and tones it down, so that it's a very useful color to have. And this is my version by Rembrandt PG23, so it's genuine green earth. There are many versions, but I like this weak, authentic version because won't look green on your skin tones. I will just desaturate your reds. And then I have Yellow Ochre by Rembrandt. For a change, I'm not using Winsor & Newton, but honestly, I find this Yellow Ochre very beautiful. Here it is. Here it is by Rembrandt. I think it's a very nice version, not too opaque. And I use it as a primary yellow for mixing my skin tones, especially on men. If I want a porcelain skin, I would use, for instance, one of these two yellows for women, but for men or for darker skins, I like to use Yellow Ochre. Then I have a totally new entry, and it is this. It's the first time I swatch it, so it's really an hazard for me, but it's a Fire Gold Ochre by Daniel Smith. And let's see, it's PR 102, and it is a very nice, very lovely color because it's a warm ochre, very delicate, and if you wash it down, you can use it directly as a base, as a wash for your skin tones. Look at this. It's not very saturated. It's quite weak, but look at this. It's one pigment, PR 102, so natural red iron oxide, calcinated red iron oxide, but it's very transparent. I think it's very beautiful. If you want to make a quick sketch or nude, you just use this, and it is on its own a great base for skin tone. So this was our Fired Gold Ochre, a great new entry. Then we go back to Rembrandt, and I have Burnt Sienna. This is PBR 7. In my other studio palette, my main studio palette, I have Winsor & Newton Burnt Sienna, which is PR 101, more orangey than this, and Winsor & Newton is wonderful Burnt Sienna, but I like to alternate my colors, and I really like this version by Rembrandt. Has a lovely granulation, and it's very nice mixed with ultramarine blue. So I use this, very useful colors in portraits. You can use it diluted for, I use it diluted for first wash in darker skin, just this. But look at this Fired Gold Ochre. I mean, oh. Then a color I can't live without. This is Burnt Amber by Schminke. For me, this is the most beautiful burnt amber. I should try others. I just can't abandon my Schminke. For me, this is a wonderful burnt amber. It's warm, it has personality, it's pigmented. Oh, it's so beautiful. Look at this. Pleasure to use. Beautiful. And now I have one more classic, which is which is Payne's Grey by Winsor & Newton. Now, you know that Payne's Grey might have different formulas, and Winsor & Newton is probably my favorite. It's PB15, So it's phthalo blue, PBK7, black, lamp black, and PV19, quinacridone violet. And the result is a dark but washed down. You have a wide range of values, and it's really nice for mixing darks, for using straight as it is on shadows. Very versatile colors. And I also use it for darkening my colors. So we'll let this dry and I'll be back. Okay, yes, while our colors dry, I would like to show you some portraits that I have been doing lately. That's why I'm painting so many portraits. You know that on October the 7th, about 240 people, women, men, children, older people, were kidnapped by Hamas and taken to Gaza. So I am painting one hostage a day just to keep the awareness, so they don't, so we don't forget them, that they're still there and they must come home as soon as possible. So I'll show you all my hostages. Ada, Mia, Disa, Romy, Noah, Ohad, Ophelia, Oded, Ariel, Omer, Maya, Yuval, Aviv, only two, Sapir, Clemens, Felix, Karin, Nama, Avinathan, David, Raz, Shinav, Hannah, Pauline. You can find all these portraits on my Instagram pages with their name, their age, and a couple of words for them. Let's hope they come back home soon. It's just a small tribute, so they don't get lost. I have painted them on this khadi paper. It's only 100 grams GSM, but it takes water quite well, and for quick sketches I like it. So I have my portrait book here. Let's maybe try one together. Okay, what do you think? For my usual advanced swatching, I think I will make a quick sketch of this Vermeer famous portrait, and on a small format, just very loose, just to test out the skin tones. And let's go. My colors are dry and now we can draw our final conclusions. I'm quite happy with this palette, although it was the first time I was using it. I'm familiar with most colors that I have, so I could use them with some ease. It was just a quick sketch, not a real portrait that I would do when I have time. It's just a quick sketch to see how colors behave on paper, how they behave once I mix them together, how they mingle. So overall, I think it's quite balanced, this palette. I have these two yellows. They're both warm. Maybe in my future palette we'll introduce a cooler yellow, like for instance Oraline, Nickelazzo yellow, or maybe green gold, which is that you can use as a cool yellow. The red, I don't really need them all, but I like to have them all, so I would keep them because I have from warmer to cooler with a nice subtle variations, and I can obtain a wide variety of skin tones with these four. I could have kept just one purple, but I like this ultramarine violet so much. It's so perfect for portraits that I'm keeping this. I'm very happy. These two blues are what I need to desaturate and create darks. This Viridian is the only choice that maybe I could change my mind and put a phthalo green. The Winsor Nude is perfect. Green Earth, perfect. I haven't used it in the sketch, but I promise you that if you have a red that is too vibrant, even when your portrait is dry, you can glaze Green Earth on top and it's fantastic. Yellow ochre, this is beautiful. This fire gold ochre is perfect. I'm so happy I bought it. This is a great new introduction to my collection. Burnt sienna, burnt umber, nothing fancy, and the paint's grey, but overall they work very well together. And this is my portrait palette, so you can maybe tell me what is your portrait palette, if you have yours, and what you think of the portrait palettes, portrait sets that are already available on the market. I know quite a few, but I really wanted, after a while painting portraits, I really wanted to put together my own collection of portrait colors. Colors that I all like very much. Let's go to the sketch. This was really, really quick on the go. It's not even totally dry here in the darks. But I really like the skin tone, this porcelain skin tone that I have obtained mixing Naples yellow and Queen Acheron coral. And the cerulean mixed with the burnt sienna has given me this muted blue. Here the yellow ochre with once again the cerulean and a bit of ultramarine blue. I have used the sap green for the eyes, and I have used the scarlet for lips. For the shadows, I have started adding some ultramarine violet, but then I have also used some cerulean and some burnt sienna. I have added some red on the nose, but this was not maybe perfectly, was not a total success. Now let me just add here darker. Okay, here too. Let me just darken this line, this line, this line. Here where you have a shadow, I will add some. Okay. And as you see, I just let the colors mingle on paper and blend together. It was really an experiment to see what kind of result I could get with these colors all together, and I'm quite happy. I think I will play more and more and more. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can see my next future portrait, and I will use this palette. Thanks a lot for having watched this video with me. I am very curious, but really curious. Please do comment. Let me know what are your colors for portrait. What is your formula for skin tones? There is not one way to mix a skin tone, and I quite change. I use different ways to mix. I like to change, I like to explore, I like to alternate, but it's so much fun to explore with watercolor. Thanks a lot for your company and your support. And here there is some white. And thanks a lot. Do let me know what is your formula for skin tones and portraits, and you have the palette. I'm waiting for your comments. Ciao, ciao. Bye bye. Subscribe and like. That's always very helpful. Bye bye. Ciao.